Sawadee krab, welcome back. This is Atum Ra Raw. I am Atum Ra, and today is another wonderful day. I'm living here in Thailand, of course, and this is my channel where I like to document my chronic vegan journey. A life of extended periods of fasting, so breatharianism, as well as just living a life where you're more conscious on the things that we're putting into our bodies, especially now as the seasons are beginning to change. Internally, we should start changing as well. So that's actually what I wanted to talk about in today's video, is how we should change with the changing seasons. So a lot of us, and this is a big thing, especially in this era that we're in now, where diseases, preventable diseases at that, are running rampant throughout society. And that's a lot of that is because ancestrally, we used to have certain times of the years where, okay, if this is harvest time, we might have a big feast and a celebration during harvest time. But throughout that actual month, we're eating less. We're being more conservative in that sense of what and conscious of how much we're intaking. Because as the seasons change, if we're not changing up our dietary needs or our levity in our bodies, then it can cause. It's almost like you're holding on to some, like you're holding on to a dying time, and there's a new process coming in, and if you're not initiated through that new process, then you're going to feel sick when that time comes about. And this is something we could be practicing more in our life as well as in our eating. So what I typically like to do around the end of each month is that's when I'll start to fast in preparation for the next month. Whether we believe it or not, the stars, the sun, everything is affecting us, and those things can be charted, and you can see how, okay, if I'm not a big follower of astronomy, so don't take it too in depth when I say this. But if Mercury or Mars is in retrograde, we might start seeing people act different. This is also how the term lunatic started to come about back in ancient times, because when the full moon was out, people would tend to be more aggressive or more sexually active. So that's where those terminologies come about. And that plays a part in our bodies and how we function. So that's why it's best that before these new seasons start to come in, right now it's winter or winter is starting in most parts of the world, and we know that a lot of parts of the world also have cold seasons for their winter. So there might be less fruits of certain kinds, or less raw vegetables of certain kinds, which isn't a problem where I'm at right now. Hey, lucky me. But especially in our society and today's era, where we are all so connected that I could get a pineapple right now from Mexico. Well, maybe not right now because of pandemics and pandemics, but you understand. So, what I'm saying is maybe we should start consciously thinking. Let that bike go past. Woo. Consciously thinking more about what and when and how much we're eating and what we're consuming during these times and the seasons change. So for like me, last month, which is the month of October, was my first time doing a fully raw vegan levity lifestyle. I had never done that before. I was eating raw fruits. I was drinking brewed teas, so ginger when I would want to drink something like that just to help my digestive system, and I felt the most powerful, and I saw weight shed off of me, because for me this was always been, it has started out at first being a weight loss journey on top of spirituality, coming of course out of getting rid of the weights that we keep on ourselves and exercising. But I had a goal set in mind. I wanted to lose such and such weight. So from the 2 months of me changing my eating habits from just being vegan, which vegan doesn't always technically mean healthy. I could eat pizzas and whatnot, that aren't made with vegan, that are made with vegan cheese, and say, oh, I'm vegan. And also, I should say plant-based, because that's a whole nother argument where people are always looking to argue about something. But I'm just talking about my lifestyle. So for me, that was what I was doing. Month of October, me and my wife, we went raw. It felt amazing, but I didn't go into that with the intention of saying that this is my new full-on lifestyle for the rest of my life. But what it did do was help me change my thought processes more into now I was able to say, now I'm able to say, I can do raw vegan a couple months out of the year now because I do still enjoy cooked food here and there. And like I say, most of the time I'm intermittent fasting when I'm not just flat out fasting. So, actually, for my next transition, I'm going to talk about it a little bit later in this video. Um, Ultimately, I want to get as close as liquidarian as possible. Someday that could end up being my actual livity, my actual lifestyle. So my next journey is coming up. But yeah, so we tried the raw vegan, and now I'm saying, something like half of the months out of each year, I should be doing raw. I don't have. I've tried most of these flavors before. I love fruits. I'm a type of person. Most of my life, I said that I could eat grapes. Like if I was stranded on an island, type of thing, I could survive only off of grapes, and it's an amazing fruit, and I love it. So that's one big thing that I started to eat a lot more of again, thankfully. Seeded, of course, because I don't know. I don't know. I've never really heard of fruits that don't come with seeds. That doesn't seem like a natural thing so much. But anyways, so I ended up taking that as our initiation through the raw vegan process while changing my habits, exercising more, meditating so much more, living in the sun again. Oh my goodness. So many people, it almost seems like we hide from the sunlight, and these walls that we put up, these four walls or more walls that we put up around ourselves are really restricting us in our thought processes every single day. So I encourage people that if you're doing any type of diet, to make sure that you're incorporating the main source of energy into your life, and that's the beautiful sun. I looked at the completely wrong direction. But yeah, so I'm feeling amazing right now. The season's changing, so I'm deciding to change with it. And I will most likely be starting this next month off. Whereas a lot of people, especially now, if you're from America, you're celebrating Thanksgiving and the holidays and everything. And that's typically a time of, let's be real, it's a time of gluttony where we buy things that we don't need with money that we don't have. We overeat, we overindulge. And really and truly, the only thing we actually want is to be together with our friends and our family, but we take it to an extreme level in the wrong sense of the word. So while that's going on in other places, what I'm practicing is, for the 6 days, let's say today's the 24th, let's say 6 days until the end of the month, I'm going to just be fasting, and it might not be a full-on water fast. It might be just fruits, but very easy on my diet, on my intestines, in preparation for this next changing season. Because things have to come and they have to go, but when we hold on too tight, sometimes you can really hurt yourself, and that's how a lot of people are ending up with sicknesses and ailments, and they claim allergies and all of those things, but it's really you holding on to dead things or dead processes of your body and of your mental state. So I'm just trying to be in as much in the sun as possible and get that. But my actual next transition, starting today, actually, I decided that as much as I love raw veganism and as much as I love cooked food, both of those things, personally, well, not raw vegan, actually, cooked food. You're often told that cooking food deprives it of a lot of the nutrients in certain elements of food. I heard that if you cook tomatoes, you might actually make the tomatoes better. No, but a lot of people are overcooking their food, so it's like we're eating dead food even if we're eating living foods. So for me, what I'm actually going to be working on, because I realize I love brews, I love things like that, is I'm going predominantly, I still only eat once a day on days where I do choose to eat, and I don't snack. Snacking is not a real thing to me. I'm going to be eating mostly soups because I took into consideration that if we're cooking food excuse me, it's getting, see, even the phone, the technology can't handle the things that you can handle, all of the radiation. So let me start to move a little bit. Okay. But if we're cooking food, then that means that we're losing a lot of the nutrients from the food being cooked. But if I make soup, then that nutrients in that broth is now going into the broth of that soup. So the water, the if I'm making a curry or anything like that, now is in that soup broth, and I get a chance to drink that and still maintain the quote unquote nutrients that's in it. So I'm going to be predominantly eating soups. I apologize for the shaking. But I don't want to go inside or anything because the sun is just miraculous. And even though this technology is trying to tell me, oh, I'm too hot. Anyways, let's just move over to this side, huh? And get some shade. Ah, much better. Okay. So, back to the topic. If we're eating the soup, then we're not losing so much of that nutrients. And that's something that I'm going to be doing mostly. So every day, and I'm planning on doing that without any set date of stopping. Every day, if I'm going to eat, it'll probably be in first thing in the morning, just to get that shot of energy after I've done my workouts, after I've done my exercising, and then I will from there I'll eat a soup, and the will have the vegetables, it will have the kale, it'll have all of those things, and I won't have to worry about it being burnt off into some frying pan or anything of that nature. And I encourage a lot of people to try more soups because really and truly our stomach, I might have said this in a previous video before, but our stomachs are like a big cauldron, right? And it's swirling with all of these things. And if we're talking about it from a alchemical standpoint, we have salt, we have mercury, and we have sulfur inside of our bodies, which are the three primordial energies of the universe, actually. But not to get too spacey with it, a lot of us are consuming high doses of salt and high dosage of oil, which you might say is mercury. And but we're not putting in any liquids or the proper substances to make sure that our digestion is working properly. So we're just assuming my stomach acid will take care of it. A lot of people these days don't even fully chew their food. If you see them, they're just inhaling it. They're just throwing it back, throwing it down. And eating the soups, in my opinion, in my life, have made, even when you choose to go use the bathroom, it's so much of an easier process because you're now adding that nutrients, you're adding that water back into your system as well, and it's making it, you're not putting dry into acid. You know, a lot of people, and that's where a lot of inflammation of the body occurs, when we're putting these substances that into an empty stomach, in a sense, and you're just dropping, oh, even worse when it's an oily thing like fried food, and you're just dropping that in the acid, and you're wondering, why do you have so much gas and you have all of these pains and mucus? Well, if you're putting dehydrating things in your body and you're not hydrating with that, you know, my sensei, my teacher, who I always follow, breatharian, 20 years straight, Tom Elamine, you could check him out on YouTube, Facebook, amazing guy. He often talks about it in that sense that if you are eating food, which everybody on this planet is, then you need to hydrate. Because the act of putting food in your body is the act of developing mucus and inflammation in the body. Because now your organs have to shift for that food, everything of that sense. Well, me eating soups is me already cutting out half of that process of the hydration process. Okay? So, like I said, it seems like our system is getting a little bit hot today. I hope you were able to get a good message out of this one. Um, I love you guys. I appreciate you all for following my journey. In case you're wondering, where, if you're new to the channel, when I started out my fasting and veganism, I started vegan 3 years ago, and I was just living my life then. And now I'm 3 years later, and I was vegan, but I hadn't added any exercise into it. So when I started, I was something like 110 kilos. I was that heavy, maybe even heavier. The thing is, when you know you're unhealthy, you don't really rush to go see, oh, how unhealthy am I? No, So I might have been heavier, but at this point, if you're wondering, I am down to 83 kilos now. Um, I haven't set a goal or a number. All I do is every day I tell myself, you're developing more muscle, you're getting lighter, more light. You're get every day I'm healthier, and I want people to start saying these things to themselves. Practice when you go to the mirror, no matter how you're feeling in that moment. Smile, just smile at yourself at least once, because the fact that you're able to still live means you're able to always correct anything that you might have assumed was a mistake. Because ultimately, there's not really even any mistakes. You were meant to be on that path at that time, and it's your choice if you're going to learn a lesson from that. Anyways, not to make it too long, I'm Atum Ra Raw. Thank you again for tuning into my video. Please like and share and subscribe and all of those things. And I'm wishing you massive vibrations, positive love, pure love, universal love, and energy and health. And I'll see you in the next video. Love.